Amazing twins fall unnoticed. Only a cleaner selfless act reveals a hidden fortune. Ethan and Emma stood on the edge of their dreams, staring at the towering brick buildings of the university. Excitement bubbled in their chests, but it was quickly overshadowed by the familiar weight of self-doubt. They could hear the laughter of well-off students, their designer clothes and confident strides only intensifying the twins' invisibility. Growing up in a modest Midwestern town had taught them the sting of being overlooked. Now, amidst the opulence of campus life, the ghosts of their past flickered through their minds' dim lighting of their rundown apartment, their mother's weary face etched with sacrifice, and their desperate ambitions to blaze a trail that would lift them beyond struggle. In the library's dim corner, Emma struggled to focus. The pages of her textbook blurred as thoughts raced. The weight of their inheritance loomed like an unseen specter. How could they balance their ambitions with the crushing loyalty to their mother? Memories of her late nights, working tireless hours, threatened to drown out their desire for success. Would they become selfish in chasing their dreams, now that fate might, just might, throw them a lifeline? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The afternoon dragged as whispers of the twins' newfound fortune circulated through the campus. Emma could feel eyes on her: curiosity, envy, judgment. Who could fathom the pressures that came with revelation? It felt wrong to possess wealth that hadn't been earned through sweat and tears, tainting their proud academic achievements. Ethan was set on using the inheritance as a stepping stone toward their success. But for Emma, it felt like a knife ready to sever their humble roots. What if they embraced the life of privilege, the whisper of their mother's sacrifices disappearing like dust? Panic surged, closing around her throat. The twins met at their usual study nook, flickering fluorescent lights buzzing above them. Ethan's eyes sparkled with dreams of engineering, how funds could pave paths to better futures, yet guilt anchored him. "We could help, Mom," he said, voice low, insistent. But Emma felt her heart a tight ball, knowing that path might lead them away from soaring dreams of saving lives through medicine, make her lose the essence of her identity. The cost of ambition tangled between them like roots of a tree, pulling them in opposing directions. Just as Ethan articulated a way forward, a sudden burst of dread gripped Emma's heart. She saw her father's shadow in their inheritance, that man who had left them with nothing but questions. What if money changed them? Suddenly, a tap on their shoulder broke their spiraling thoughts. Rosa, the elderly cleaner, had unintentionally interrupted, a ledger clutched in trembling hands, a family mystery unraveling before them. Could their past hold the key to their future, or was this the beginning of an unsettling journey that might fracture the bond they had built so fiercely? The air thickened with unsaid words, as they prepared to confront not just their legacy, but their very selves. Rosa stood there, a flicker of uncertainty within her soft, wise eyes. The ledger trembled in her hands, its pages worn and filled with scribbles that seemed to breathe all the secrets the past had buried. Ethan's curiosity pulled him forward, his mind racing with possibilities. Emma, however, felt the weight of the moment settle heavily upon her shoulders, transforming her excitement into apprehension. What hidden truths were entwined with their family history, and what did it mean for their future? "Are you all right?" Rosa asked, her voice breaking through the twins' silence. It wasn't a probing question, but one steeped in genuine concern. It reminded Emma of the countless times their mother had extended kindness, an echo of the support that had lifted them through their struggles. "Let me see that," Ethan said, and without waiting for a response, he reached for the ledger. As his fingers brushed its pages, a shiver of anticipation coursed through him. Any scrap of information that could reveal what lay beneath the surface of their inheritance felt critical, a thread to tug gently to unravel their family's narrative. Emma backed away, crossing her arms as if to shield herself from the revelations that loomed ahead. She was hesitant. "Ethan, wait," she urged. What if this leads us down a path we aren't equipped to follow? The thought sent an uneasy ripple through her. Discovering the past meant digging into the very soil where roots of their identity had anchored, those roots that connected them to their struggles and triumphs. If they unearthed not just their fortune, but also their father's legacy, what then? Would they still grasp onto the dreams they nurtured since childhood? Emma, this could change everything, Ethan said, flipping through the pages with eager determination. If we can understand this better, we can make informed choices. Maybe we don't have to drown in guilt anymore. At that moment, just beyond the noise of the library, Emma felt a shift within herself. She saw Ethan, glowing with daunting ambition, while guilt gnawed at her heart. He envisioned possibilities that shimmered with promise, yet she felt bound to a past that threatened to fracture their drive for success. Changing everything can also change us, Emma countered softly, her voice barely above a whisper. A war raged inside her between the bright light of new opportunities and the shadows of their upbringing, between what they cultivated in themselves and the weight of an unexpected legacy. The ledger lay before them, pages revealing an intricate weave of familial history fraught with challenges. Ethan's determination seemed to sparkle against her cloud of doubts. She glanced toward Rosa, who watched with knowing eyes as if she understood the delicate dance between inheritance and identity. "Are you sure you're ready for this?" Rosa asked. "Your parents made sacrifices for a reason. Sometimes, the truth can be heavier than the weight of privilege." Emma's chest tightened. "We need to tread carefully," she replied, realizing how careful she needed to be with her heart in the matter. It wasn't just about riches or responsibility, it was about their very essence and the legacy they wished to create. Ethan nodded, his enthusiasm dampened slightly by Emma's caution but not extinguished. "Let us read through it. Together, we can figure this out. No choice is too great when we're united." With a deep breath, Emma steeled herself, ready to face whatever truths lay ahead. The prospect of discovering their father's past mixed uneasily with an excitement that made her pulse quicken. As Ethan continued sifting through the pages, Emma peered closer, watching the remnants of their family legacy unfold. But then a name caught her eye, a familiar name that sent a chill racing through her veins. "Wait a minute," Emma's voice faltered as she squinted at the notes, realizing the implications of what she was seeing. The revelation burned within her, a secret that threatened to unravel everything they had built. "What is it, Emma?" Ethan asked, his voice threaded with urgency. But as she stared at that name, she knew they were crossing into a territory fraught with risks, a realm where their carefully maintained dreams might shatter, revealing truths they weren't prepared to confront. This moment held the potential to redefine their journey. Would they embrace their inheritance, or would it entangle them in shadows of a past they could not outrun? The decision loomed before them, heavy with uncertainty, and a flicker of a distant challenge emerged in Emma's mind. The moment had arrived to face their family's choices head-on. What awaited them at the edge of their understanding might change everything they thought they knew about themselves. Emma's heart raced as she traced the name with her fingertip, feeling as though she were unearthing something dark and precious. The name was a whirlwind of memories, shifting her focus entirely from the ledger to her own turbulent thoughts. It was not only a name, it was a connection to a past filled with both pain and power. "What is it?" Ethan stepped closer, peering over her shoulder, his eagerness conflicting sharply with Emma's apprehension. She recalled their father's stories, often vague, masked in layers of protective nostalgia. But the visceral truth written in the ledger threatened to strip those stories of their romantic veneer. It's someone we know," Emma managed, the weight of the revelation closing in on her. She could feel the eyes of Rosa upon them, her quiet urgency amplifying the anxiety swirling inside. Ethan's brow furrowed, confusion etched on his face. "What do you mean? Who?" Emma clenched her jaw, grappling with the overwhelming urge to uncover the entire truth. With a fierce determination drawn from the depths of her anxiety, she forced herself to speak. "It's Uncle Michael," she uttered, the name heavy as lead. An awkward silence filled the room as time appeared to stretch. The implications of this revelation tore at Emma's very being. Uncle Michael, estranged yet retained in family photographs, had always felt like a ghost, a lingering presence tethered to their history but absent in their reality. Why would he be mentioned here? And what did it mean for their family's legacy? Ethan's eyes widened. Michael? But he was supposed to be different from all this. His enthusiasm began to flicker as he absorbed the gravity of what Emma was suggesting. I had no idea, Emma confessed, feeling a fracture opening within her. An identity that had seemed simple was now splintering, inviting questions that raised the stakes of their journey to understand their inheritance. Rosa stepped closer, her wisdom now even more palpable and demanding attention. Emma, Ethan, families can hold unexpected truths. Sometimes, the deepest legacies can be intertwined with painful histories. You both need to decide. Will you confront this truth, or let it remain buried? Emma's throat constricted. The choice to engage with the ledger and their family history had already taken shape, yet this new layer seemed fraught with unresolved tension. Encountering Uncle Michael's role in their past would not just challenge the purity of their present aspirations, but also force them to confront the shadows of familial decisions never accounted for. The ledger lay between them, its pages whispering secrets of heritage and ambition, and Emma realized she had to reevaluate her perception of her father's legacy. This was a journey not just about wealth, but also about understanding who they genuinely were in the tapestry of their shared past. Can we really take on this new burden? Emma mused aloud, internal conflicts bubbling to the surface. What would it mean to uncover truths we may not be prepared to hold? Ethan looked torn, an inner conflict mirrored in his face. We can't bury what makes us whole, Emma. If we don't face this now, we may never move forward. I don't want our future decisions to be guided by ignorance. With each second ticking by, Emma felt the walls begin to close in, and the emotional gravity of the ledger settled heavily upon her. She sensed the path toward acceptance was shrouded in complexity, each choice combing through their foundations, questioning everything they thought they knew. Then let us do this, Emma declared, summoning a fragile bravery within her. The choice was made. Together. All of us. But we must prepare ourselves for the truths waiting on the other side. As she spoke, a flicker of resolve ignited within her, a tentative alignment of intention and action. Determination surged, and Emma steeled herself, knowing that delving deeper would challenge not just their family's foundation, but redefine her own identity. In the fraught silence, their fates felt intertwined more than ever. The uncertainty ahead sparkled. Ominously, would they find empowerment in the truth, or would it ultimately unravel the life they sought to create? But one thing was clear: the ledger had opened the scroll of their destiny, and the next chapter would unveil what it meant to stand against the tides of their family legacy. What awaited them as they descended further into these revelations might alter the core of their existence forever. Emma's mind raced as she contemplated the weight of Uncle Michael's name, feeling every syllable reverberate inside her. She had cracked open a door that had remained securely shut, and a chill swept through her, igniting a flicker of apprehension and curiosity. Each heartbeat deepened her resolve, yet with it came uncertainty about how uncovering this family secret would reshape her identity and ambitions. Where do we even begin? Ethan's voice interrupted her spiraling thoughts, the urgency in his tone sparking a flicker of clarity in her muddled mind. I think we need to find out more about Uncle Michael's connection to our family, she replied, driven not just by the need to uncover the truth, but also by a growing sense of responsibility. They owed it to themselves to seek understanding. Rosa, observing them with keen interest, replied, "That's a wise approach. But remember, knowing is only part of the journey. How you choose to respond to what you discover will define you." The layers of her words began to sink in, and Emma felt a strange mixture of fear and empowerment dance within her. As they stood in the dim lighting of their father's study, the ledger acting as a detailed map of their lineage, Emma understood that the path ahead would be riddled with both peril and potential. "We should visit the old family home," Ethan suggested, breaking the silence. "That's where we might find things connected to Uncle Michael, old letters, photographs, anything that could give us more context." Emma hesitated, knowing that the house held not only memories of their childhood, but also echoes of the pain associated with Michael's absence. "It's a good idea," she said, voice steadying. "But we have to be mentally prepared. This isn't just another family history hunt. We're walking into a potential heartbreak." Ethan nodded, his brows knitted in concentration, channeling determination rather than fear. Together, he reiterated, anchoring them both in a shared commitment to face whatever awaited them. But as they prepared to leave, Emma took one last look at the ledger. Its pages stirred within her a newfound sense of agency. The narrative wasn't over. They could still steer it. This time, she felt less like a passive observer of her family's history, and more like an active participant in crafting their legacy. The drive to the old family home felt surreal, the landscape shifting around them as memories of laughter and warmth fought against the looming shadows of what was left unsaid. Emma focused inward, strategizing how to extract meaning from the artifacts of their past that awaited them. Arriving at the familiar property, Emma caught her breath. The home stood resilient yet wearied, a guardian of secrets brewing just beneath its surface. As they stepped inside, the scent of aging wood and nostalgia enveloped her. Each creak of the floorboards reminded her of the countless stories that resided within these walls, stories that now craved to be told. Looking around, she spotted a dusty trunk tucked in a corner, dimly lit but noticeably distinct. "What do you think is inside?" Ethan asked, his excitement piercing through the nostalgic haze. "Only one way to find out," Emma replied, her fingers trembling slightly as she approached the trunk. With a swift motion, she unclasped the rusty latch and lifted the lid. Inside, the trappings of their family seemed to hum with a life of their own. Old photographs, sepia-toned and weathered, crowded the space. Faded letters teetered precariously on the verge of crumbling, and atop it all, a delicate silver trinket caught her eye. It glimmered faintly, promising secrets yet untold. Holding it in her palm, Emma felt a jolt of connection, a warmth coursing through her, a sign of hidden truths waiting to be unveiled. For a moment, her decision to confront the past felt abundantly justified. She looked at Ethan, who mirrored her eagerness. "Let us see what else we can uncover." Ethan's excitement sparked Emma's resolve anew. The trinket felt like the first breadcrumb on their path into the depths of their family's legacy. But what lay beyond this moment? Would the secrets contained in those photographs and letters bring clarity or confusion? As they delved deeper into the memories encapsulated by their family's history, the tension heightened. What revelations would emerge, and how would they grapple with the implications of their discoveries? The journey was just beginning, and Emma sensed the world shifting beneath her feet once more. The truth awaited them, and with it, the challenge of confronting not only Uncle Michael's legacy but their own place within it. Would they be able to carry the weight of their family's secrets, or would they become overwhelmed by the burden of insight? Emma's heart raced as she pulled the trinket from the trunk, its smooth surface almost pulsating with untold stories. A sense of destiny enveloped her, intertwining with an unsettling undercurrent of fear. What if the truths they sought were too heavy to bear? She shook herself, focusing on Ethan, who was already sifting through the pile of letters. "Read this one," he urged, holding up a yellowed envelope addressed to their mother. The sight of their mother's handwriting ignited a rush of nostalgia, mingling with an ache she struggled to reconcile. With hesitant fingers, Emma reached for the letter, feeling as if she were about to open a wound that had long been festering. She slid the letter from the envelope, scanning the delicate loops of her mother's writing. As she read, her breath caught a simple farewell intertwined with words that hinted at a turbulent time. "I wish I could have shielded you from the family's burden," it began, and Emma's mind spiraled, questioning what she thought she knew about their mother and her choices. "Do you think she meant Uncle Michael?" Ethan mused quietly, pulling Emma back to the moment. The implication sent a shiver down her spine. The idea that their mother had been burdened by shame and family secrets was unnerving. "We need to find out what happened," he said, mirroring her internal turmoil. They continued sorting through the letters, each one like a wave of fog lifting to reveal the rocky coast ahead. Emma's hesitation began to evolve into a fierce determination. Each letter was a new chapter in a book she needed to write for herself, a book that could redefine her understanding of family. With each word, the shadows deepened. They discovered stories of thwarted ambitions and silent sacrifices. "Emma, look at this," Ethan said, holding up a photograph of a young man who bore a striking resemblance to their father. Flipping it over, Emma read a name scrawled in fading ink. Michael. The pieces were beginning to fit, But the puzzle was more intricate and more painful than she had anticipated. Why didn't we ever hear about him? Emma whispered, her voice cracking. Anger simmered beneath her skin, a reaction to what felt like an inheritance of deception. Through the haze of conflicting emotions, a thought crystallized. She would not be defined by others' choices, nor would she accept a narrative that painted her family in a simplistic light. She turned the photograph over in her hands, envisioning the man behind the eyes. We owe it to ourselves to dig deeper, she stated, grounding herself in a resolve that was shy of defeat. This mission was no longer about merely uncovering secrets. It was about understanding their roots and where they, as a family, had gone astray. That a series of unmarked books caught her attention, tucked aside within the trunk's confines. As she pulled one out, the spine cracked, revealing more letters and journal entries. Emma's pulse quickened. These weren't just remnants. They were echoes of lives not fully lived. As the evening wore on, Emma felt the weight of the trinket again, grounding her in a realization. This was not just about Uncle Michael's past, but about reclaiming her family's narrative, about understanding who she could be in light of it. The journey had become personal. The letters and photos no longer felt like artifacts belonging to someone else, but part of her own unfinished story. Emerging from her introspection, she glanced at Ethan, who was deep in concentration, reading yet another letter. Would he understand her growing certainty that they needed to confront these truths, not just piece together history, but carve a new path forward? What if we tracked down people who knew him? Friends, colleagues? Ethan suggested, breaking the silence again. His enthusiasm ignited a spark in Emma. She felt the momentum building. Let us do it, she replied, her determination finding a voice. As she stood in the dim light, illuminated by their mother's past, she realized that real legacy lay not just in the shadows cast by family, but in the audacity to bring the light of truth forward. The quest for answers was beginning to feel less like a burden and more like an awakening. With every revelation, it became clearer that their family history was a living entity, one that they could reshape. Emma felt ready to embrace whatever else surfaced, aware now of her own evolving strength. But with each new path they considered, a nagging thought lingered. Were they prepared for what they might find? The truth was beckoning, and it was only a matter of time before they had to face its consequences head-on. Let us start our search tomorrow, she affirmed resolutely, standing at the threshold of a world both familiar and uncharted. Little did they know, a chance encounter during their search would soon unearth not only the mystery of Uncle Michael, but also a forgotten fortune tied irrevocably to their family, name one that could change everything. The morning light crept through the curtains, casting warm stripes across the room as Emma's excitement illuminated her resolve. Each ray seemed to breathe life into her determination, a clarion call to confront her family's hidden history. She could feel the weight of the trinket still lingering in her pocket, an anchor to the reality she was grappling with, and the gateway to a future she was determined to redefine. Over breakfast, Emma and Ethan began mapping out their plan. They needed to hone in on the few connections mentioned in the letters, to track down any clues that might lead them closer to Uncle Michael. A half-done sketch of their family tree sat at the center of the table, its branches reaching out, yearning for more substantial roots. It struck Emma how desperate she felt to fill in those blanks. Each unknown name symbolized not just a missing part of their narrative, but a lost opportunity for understanding. What about that address from the postcard? The one in Chicago? Ethan suggested, unfolding a letter that revealed their mother's hidden travels. Emma's heart raced at the thought of visiting places their mother once walked. Each city was a tapestry interwoven with stories now begging to surface, spinning dreams of rediscovery. As they settled on their first destination, Chicago, Emma felt a surge of apprehension alongside her excitement. The prospect of walking in their mother's footsteps brought forth a whirlwind of emotions. Did she expect to find pieces of her mother's past lurking in the shadows of the city? Or would this journey simply magnify the distance she felt from the woman who had shaped her identity yet remained so enigmatic? Once we get there, we should find out if any old friends of hers are still around, Emma reasoned out loud, her mind racing ahead. They could have memories we hadn't even considered. Ethan nodded, though a flicker of hesitation passed across his face. What if they don't want to talk? Or what if we don't like what we find? His voice dipped into an uncertain tone, a crack in the armor of their shared ambition. The questions stung Emma. They were the taproots of doubt she'd been trying to quell. But she wouldn't allow fear to dictate their course. Truth is uncomfortable, yes, but avoiding it only burdens us further, she replied, her own voice finding an edge of authority. Each time she dared to voice her conviction, it solidified her resolve. If we're doing this, we have to embrace whatever comes. Remember, this isn't just about Uncle Michael. It's about understanding the choices that brought us here. The drive to the airport felt akin to the moments before a pivotal performance, nerves knitting with anticipation. The horizon yawned open before them as they followed the road winding into the unknown, leaving behind the echoes of an unresolved past. Upon landing in Chicago, Emma tilted her head back, breathing in the pulse of the city. It was different here, a living tapestry of stories, many of which intertwined with her mother's long-lost years. Yet, with every step, a flicker of doubt threatened to shadow her steely determination. What if their search unearthed remnants of hurt rather than reconciliation? And what unwelcome truths might be waiting for them behind every corner? Determined to confront the uncertainty, they trekked to the address on the postcard. The building towered above them, a relic of another era standing stoic against time. Emma's heart raced. She was on the verge of unearthing the hidden pages of a life lived in secrecy. As she pushed open the heavy door, a soft bell tinkled, announcing their entry. The dimly lit antiquity within was filled with the scent of aged wood, and the unexpected sound of laughter drifted through the air, hinting at connections yet to be formed. The sudden shift in the atmosphere caught Emma's attention. Behind the counter stood a familiar face, one that matched a childhood memory, a fleeting moment of sameness among her mother's stories. The woman looked up, her expression morphing from surprise to warmth. "Emma, is that really you?" she exclaimed, an amalgamation of recognition and disbelief encapsulating the moment. The air grew thick. Emma's pulse quickened, a cascade of possibilities unraveling in her mind. Who was this woman, and what secrets did she hold? This encounter felt like a nexus, one where the past would finally converge with the present, propelling her forward into realms of truth she had only begun to comprehend. But her thoughts swirled with the realization that this could either mark the beginning of liberation or magnify the chaos of her discovery. "Let's talk," the woman said, pulling Emma and Ethan into a world of stories and memories that encompassed everything they had sought to uncover. Would this be the moment that finally illuminated the darkness surrounding their family? Or were they about to step into yet another tangled web of truth? Emma steeled herself. This was only the beginning. But she knew now that she had to prepare for the storm that the truth would inevitably unleash. "Emma, it's been years. I can hardly believe it." The woman's voice was filled with a mixture of joy and disbelief. Emma stepped closer, trying to find a sense of familiarity in her features, but the years apart made recognition elusive. "Hi, it's nice to see you, Mrs. Thompson," Emma managed, her voice taut with emotion. The name felt like a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters. Mrs. Thompson had been an important figure in her mother's life, but the memories were hazy, filtered through the lens of childhood innocence. "Please, call me Linda. I'd love to catch up and hear all about what you're doing now." Her warm smile contrasted sharply with the weight of the moment that Emma felt pressing down upon her. "Actually, we were hoping you could tell us about my mom, about her life here," Emma replied, her voice steadier than she felt. She glanced at Ethan, whose wide eyes mirrored her own mix of curiosity and apprehension. Linda's expression shifted, the light in her eyes dimming slightly. "Ah, your mother." The way she hesitated spoke volumes. "Let me show you to a more private area." They settled into a small booth at the back of the shop, the clinking of cups and the murmurs of other patrons fading into a comfortable hum. Linda surveyed Emma carefully, as if she were trying to gauge how much to reveal. Emma's heart raced. She had anticipated this meeting, but not the depth of vulnerability it demanded. "I remember your mother vividly," Linda began, her tone laced with nostalgia. "She was bright, full of energy. But there were shadows too, especially toward the end of her time here. She always seemed torn between her past and whatever awaited her. I never truly understood it." Emma leaned in, her hands clammy against the tabletop. "Do you know why she left?" why she stopped coming around. She felt she had to protect you and Ethan from the truth. There was so much more happening behind the scenes than she let on. Linda's gaze drifted, as if she were staring into the distance, haunted by unspoken memories. She loved you both fiercely, but what? Emma pressed, unable to contain her frustration. She needed to understand. What could possibly justify leaving us without answers? Linda shook her head, her expression turning somber. She felt trapped, Emma. There were threats from the past she wanted to shield you from. I think she was afraid of dragging you both into a conflict that was never yours to fight. I thought she could handle it, but eventually, the silence that followed hung heavily between them. Emma's breath quickened as she pondered the implications. What dangerous legacy had her mother fled from? The urgency to uncover the truth tightened her grip on her emotions. What can we do to help? Ethan piped up, breaking the tension. His sincerity pierced the heaviness that threatened to consume Emma. You must know someone who can help us find her mysteries. I might, Linda replied slowly, but be aware that uncovering the past could unravel more than you're prepared for. Emma swallowed hard, grappling with the risk of knowledge. Her mind raced. What had she truly signed up for? This journey was no longer simply about Uncle Michael. It was turning into a confrontation with the very essence of her family's identity. Whatever it takes, she breathed out, her resolve hardening. We're ready. We need to find out what happened no matter the cost. Linda maintained eye contact, her expression somber yet hopeful. Very well. I'll help you reach out to a few people who might know more. But you have to promise me one thing. If it gets too overwhelming, you'll step back. As Linda scribbled down names and numbers, Emma was struck by the gravity of her promise. Every piece of information was a key to the family history. However, each key also came with the potential to unlock hidden pain. Yet she steadied herself, the determination crystallizing within her. Thank you, Emma whispered, her heart pounding with an anxious thrill. Her pulse raced with the prospects ahead, both exhilarating and terrifying. The resolve to tackle the truth head-on tamed her fear, and within her stirred a steely fortitude. This was the critical juncture. As they prepared to leave, Emma glanced out at the bustling Chicago streets, alive with possibility. Each face passing by could be tied to her mother in ways she was just beginning to understand. A cool breeze danced through the air, catching her breath and drawing her focus back to Linda. Will we find closure? Emma asked, a desperate need for assurance bubbling to the surface. Linda's eyes flickered with something deeper, an understanding of the tumultuous journey ahead. Closure isn't always what you think it is, dear. Sometimes it leads to more questions. Emma nodded, understanding now the intricate web of history that lay ahead of them. The stakes were rising. With each step forward, danger loomed just beyond the horizon. Emma felt a shift inside her, a burgeoning courage igniting as the journey began to feel less like a burden and more like an essential path of discovery. In that moment, a subtle but significant change took place within her. Each secret unveiled would bring her closer to understanding her family, no matter the cost. But as they stepped out into the bustling streets, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were now being watched, that the past was inching closer, and soon enough, they might find themselves facing something they were wholly unprepared for. Ready? Ethan interrupted her thoughts, his enthusiasm a sharp contrast to her inner turmoil. More than ever, she responded, but a flicker of doubt threaded through her heart. Behind them, the bell chimed softly as the door closed. Had they left something important behind in that quaint shop? Or had they simply stepped into an unfolding tale where the past and present clashed anew? The real journey was just beginning, and Emma braced herself for the revelations yet to come. As Emma and Ethan stepped onto the sunlit street, the energy of the city swirled around them, an exhilarating sensation that felt both inviting and dangerous. Emma's thoughts raced. She could almost feel the weight of her mother's secrets pressing against her, ready to burst forth. The thrill of the unknown filled her with hope, but underlined by a gnawing anxiety. What now? Ethan's question snapped her back, grounding her in the moment. They had a mission, yet the path ahead was shrouded in uncertainty. We contact the people on Linda's list, Emma replied, trying to mask the tremor in her voice with certainty. Each person might lead us closer to the truth about Mom. Ethan nodded vigorously. He blinked up at her, his youthful optimism a stark contrast to her own swirling doubts. Yet the spirit of teamwork inspired a sense of responsibility within Emma to not only wield the truths they would uncover, but to also shield her younger brother from the more jagged edges of their family's past. In the days that followed, Emma found herself caught in a quagmire of emotions. The list Linda had provided opened avenues of inquiry that somehow felt familiar yet foreign all at once. Each call was a leap into the unknown, usually culminating in more questions than answers. One contact led her to another, crafting a web of connections that felt tangentially linked to her mother's decisions years ago. One afternoon, a conversation with an old family friend named Rita unfolded. Rita had met their mother at a pivotal time in her life, and her memory of those days held a clarity that Emma craved. Over coffee in a small diner, warmth radiated from Rita's eyes. "I remember when she would talk about her dreams," Rita began, wistfully. "Your mother was passionate. She wanted to be a painter. But there were things in her past that haunted her. Some shadows lingered." Emma leaned back, her mind racing. "What kinds of shadows?" "There were people involved." Rita hesitated, the weight of her words heavy. "Not individuals she could easily escape from." A cold chill ran through Emma. Was she fleeing from something or someone? "It's hard to say," Rita said softly. "She always felt she had to protect her family from the truth. But she loved you both too much to divulge anything that might jeopardize your lives." Emma squeezed her eyes shut, grappling with the implications. The notion of her mother safeguarding them was both comforting and tragic. And did she manage to escape? Rita's silence spoke louder than her words. After the meeting, Emma felt torn. She yearned for the truth hidden behind her mother's decisions. Yet each revelation stretched the tendrils of anxiety farther into her heart. Emma instinctively reached for her phone, scrolling through Linda's notes, searching for that solid footing amid the confusion. The urgency of the truth began to collide with the potential consequences of seeking it. As they navigated these conversations, Ethan remained a steadfast presence, his innocence remaining unscathed, fueling Emma's resolve. When they returned home, she often sat with him, recounting gentle stories of their mother that weren't cloaked in shadows. It helped remind Emma of the loving bond they had even in a fragmented past filled with uncertainties, yet the shadows loomed ever closer. One evening, as she stared at the wall in her room, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that someone was observing their efforts. The quietude of the house felt deceptive. A sense of foreboding settled over her like a cloak. She needed to be prepared. If they were indeed unearthing dangerous secrets, she couldn't let fear derail their progress. Emma resolved to embrace those fears instead. "I won't hide from the truth," she murmured to herself. "I'll confront it and evolve through it." Days later, an unexpected phone call from Linda prompted another turn in their journey. The tone was hushed, urgent. "Emma, I think you need to see me. I have something important to discuss, something that might change everything you think you know about your mother." Emma's stomach tightened as she processed the implications. The path ahead was wrought with challenges. The truth, exhilaratingly close, held an unyielding grip on her resolve. But could she face whatever lay ahead? Whatever revelations awaited her might fracture the remaining pieces of her understanding of family and herself. Gripping the phone, Emma could almost feel the weight of uncertainty pressing down on her once more. Some secrets could be enlightening, others might be devastating. But with Ethan at her side, she was more determined than ever to walk this treacherous path. She took a deep breath, steeling herself for the confrontation to come. Maybe, just maybe, she would finally be ready to face her mother's past. How much of her mother's life had really been a mask hiding a tumultuous truth? Emma realized she had unknowingly walked into the heart of a storm, and it was time to see what emerged from the tempest. As Emma approached the cafe where Linda had asked to meet, a mixture of anticipation and trepidation surged through her veins. The sun hung low in the sky, casting elongated shadows that seemed to lengthen with every step she took. It was a beautiful day, yet the vibrant world around her felt disconnected from the storm brewing within. Seated at a corner table, Linda's demeanor appeared more serious than Emma remembered. She straightened the stack of papers in front of her, seemingly aligning her thoughts into something coherent. Emma's heart raced. She barely knew what she was walking into, but she sensed that whatever awaited her would require every ounce of strength she could muster. "Thank you for coming, Emma," Linda said, her voice tinged with urgency. What I'm about to share is not easy. It may alter your perception of your mother completely. Emma perched on the edge of her seat. Whatever it is, I'm ready. I need to know the truth. Linda tapped the papers with her finger and took a deep breath. Your mother was involved in something much bigger than anyone realized. There were huge factors at play, and I fear she was trapped in a web of her own creation. The words washed over Emma like ice-cold water. What do you mean trapped? Was she in danger? I'm afraid so, Linda confessed, her brows furrowing. Years ago, your mother was tied to a group that operated in shadowy corners of the art world. Not just any artists, but those with connections that could spin lives and fates out of control. With every utterance, Emma felt pieces of her mother's life fall into a grid of complex, intersecting lines, a web that seemed impossibly tangled. She clenched her fists. Why would she hide this from us? Why act as if everything was normal? Because the stakes were high. She thought distancing herself was the only way to keep you and Ethan safe, Linda explained, her voice gentle yet firm. Her dreams were overshadowed by fear, and her decisions, however misguided, were driven by love. Emma's mind raced as she absorbed the revelation. A part of her yearned to resent her mother for keeping secrets that endangered their family, yet another part understood the depths of maternal instinct. What exactly did she do? She demanded, fighting the tremors of vulnerability. Linda paused momentarily, scanning the papers before her. I have testimony that links her to certain individuals. They were both mentors and, at times, manipulators. Your mother may have seen them as protectors in her pursuit of art, but there was always a price. Emma felt a wave of nausea wash over her. There must be a way to find out how deep this goes. I can't delve into shadowy truths without understanding the risk. Finding out the whole truth might expose dangers that could shatter your world as you know it, Linda warned. Are you sure you want to pursue this? It could irrevocably change how you see your mother. The weight of Linda's words pressed heavily on Emma's chest. Every heartbeat echoed her uncertainty, yet the burning inside her a longing for clarity coupled with an invincible determination was insistent. She needed to confront this, not just for herself, but for Ethan too. I can't back down now. If this is who my mother was, it's my responsibility to understand it, to face it, Emma declared, surprising even herself with the firmness in her voice. Then you must proceed with caution, Emma. The truth can shatter illusions, but it can also protect you if handled wisely, Linda cautioned. You need to gather more information before you act. I can help, but you must stay vigilant. The conversation lingered in Emma's mind like an unfinished painting, colors yet to dry, strokes still needing clarity. In the space of a few hours, the foundation of her family's narrative had shifted, leaving her on shaky ground. The urge to uncover more about her mother's life battled against the fear of what it might reveal that as she exited the cafe. Emma took a deep breath, glancing up at the city skyline. The weight of what lay ahead felt monumental. For the first time, she could see her path, diverging, one leading toward the truth and the other toward ignorance. Which road to take? The reality of her mother's choices now loomed larger than ever, a mirror reflecting her own potential for change and growth. Emma could sense the storm was far from over. Questions clawed at her mind. Was she strong enough to face what might be revealed? And what transformative strength would she uncover within herself? Gripping her phone tightly, Emma prepared to dive deeper into her mother's world, steeling herself for the unexpected consequences of revelation. She had made her choice to confront the past. As she stepped into the chaotic rhythm of the city, one thought fired her determination. The next encounter could uncover secrets that had been buried for far too long, secrets that may not only redefine her mother's legacy, but also her own identity. What fragments of her mother's truth awaited her in the shadows? Emma couldn't shake off the feeling that someone was watching, pulling strings in the unfolding narrative of her life. She felt both exhilarated and terrified, knowing that the moment had come to face the many layers of reality, and within them, her own evolution awaited. The sun beamed through the windows, illuminating the cluttered yet vibrant art studio, where Emma's journey led her to a pivotal moment. With each brush stroke, she was no longer just unveiling layers of paint. She was peeling back the layers of her own identity, integrating her mother's hidden past into her burgeoning sense of self. The swirling colors on the canvas reflected the tumult of emotions she had spent weeks grappling with: fear, hope, confusion, and a resolute spark of courage. Finally embracing her mother-esque complexities, Emma felt a profound transformation. Each revelation about her mother had destabilized her world. Yet here, in this moment, she was not just a daughter reconciling with a painful legacy. She was an artist striving for understanding and expression. Art became her sanctuary, a conduit through which she could navigate the intricacies of her family's history while forging a future on her own terms. During the previous weeks, connections with various individuals from her mother's past had gradually revealed the narrative she craved. They spoke of her mother's artistic dreams and the unfortunate entanglement with shady figures in the art world. Yet there was also a recurring theme: her mother's unwavering love. It was this love, shadowed by secrecy, that Emma had to embrace as part of her own narrative. One particularly impactful meeting with a former mentor of her mother, an old artist named Samuel, reshaped Emma's perspective. "Your mother fought battles within herself, but she was more than her fears," he said while gesturing toward her burgeoning artwork. "She infused her pain into her art to create beauty, something you too are doing now." Samuel's words resonated with Emma, solidifying her resolve to not only confront her family's legacy, but to honor it through her own creations. The moment she completed the first painting dedicated to her mother, an abstract piece symbolizing their estrangement, yet interlaced with colors of love and triumph, was transformative. At that instant, Emma recognized her identity was no longer merely dictated by her family's shadows, but illuminated by the strength of her choices. The painting felt like a revelation, an affirmation of her struggle and growth. It depicted a luminous tree, its roots deep and tangled, but its branches reaching out towards the sky with resilience. As Ethan stood admiring the painting in awe, she felt an overwhelming surge of pride. "You captured it perfectly. This is our story," he exclaimed, and Emma embraced her brother, the innocence of his belief grounding her further. She received validation not just from him, but internally as well. She was no longer plagued by uncertainty. Emma had conquered her self-doubts. Recognition soon followed as she entered a local art exhibition, showcasing works from emerging artists. Her piece, which she titled Roots of Light, caught the attention of several art critics and patrons. One evening, a renowned gallery owner approached her with an offer to feature her work. "You have a powerful voice, young lady. Your mother's spirit shines through this piece," he articulated, and Emma could barely contain the flush of pride that coursed through her. Upon hearing his words, she realized that the full-circle journey had come to fruition. She had not only expressed the complexities of her mother's legacy, but had woven her personal story into the fabric of the art world, demonstrating her own creative competence. The chance for her work to be displayed was the recognition she longed for, not just as an artist, but as an individual who had confronted the darkness to emerge in the light. With her first exhibition approaching, Emma felt an unshakable sense of confidence. She embraced her growth fully, acknowledging that her path did not erase her family history, but rather reshaped it, allowing her to exist within it authentically. The once insurmountable feelings of fear transformed into empowerment. Emma was no longer just the daughter of a woman with a complex past. She was an artist forging her narrative, thriving in her independence while respecting her roots. As she walked through the exhibition hall for the final setup, she caught a glimpse of her own reflection in the glass, showcasing her art. This time, she saw strength, courage, and acceptance. It was more than just an academic achievement or familial obligation. It was a personal conquest over the shadows that once hindered her. Emma had learned the true meaning of resilience and self-identity not in denying her past, but in integrating it into the narrative of her life. As the event commenced, surrounded by a community that appreciated her art and supported her growth, she concluded that she could hold her roots with pride and gratitude. Thus, Emma's journey reflected a harmonious balance between her family's history and her own emergence. With a transformed perception of herself and her mother's legacy, she stood ready to share her story with the world. Now, incredible readers, let's seize this moment. You need to subscribe immediately to our channel to ensure you don't miss other exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to show your support and boost us in the algorithm. Comment below your thoughts and theories about this conclusion. It means the world to us. And share this transformative journey with at least 5 friends who need a little inspiration in their lives. Don't wait even one more second to share. Together, let's celebrate the power of personal growth and uncovering your truth.